Hi, everyone. So thank you, Amy, for that introduction. I'm excited to talk to you guys about something I'm passionate about, which is visual referencing in media, and specifically medical media. So I'll kick things off with just an introduction of who I am and my background, and then we'll talk about why referencing in design matters. So who am I? My name is Marty Shook. I'm the Associate Creative Director at Maven, and I specialize in healthcare-based communications. My background's in graphic design, but I also hold a master's in biomedical communications. So a marriage of science and design. And I'm here to talk about visual referencing, a topic I'm really excited about. And I'm also really proud to put Bill Nye, the science guy, in a slide deck. Visual referencing sits at the intersection of design and science. And it's super important to make sure that we're accurate in that field. But it extends past healthcare as well. So any field where there's complex products or subjects, referencing is really important. So what do I even mean by visual referencing, right? When I say referencing, some of you might think back to university, writing papers and things like that. No one likes to do a works cited. But visual referencing is kind of the same thing. So you can use scholarly sources, you can use informal sources as well. In my field, I typically use things like medical atlases, clinical papers to build out content. And so behind me is an illustration I did of the gallbladder and the liver, and you can see somewhere that there are citations used to build out that illustration. So this is the same illustration again, but I expanded those so you can appreciate that they're based on drawings from atlases, 3D models. That's a gallbladder that's been preserved in wax. It's pretty cool. So why should we even care, right? And the reason is that accuracy builds trust. We can mitigate misinterpretation, we can enhance credibility, and we can build trust with clients. And when we're working in the health sciences or tech or any similar industry, it's super important. So I'm going to present to you two case studies. One's a public-facing one, and one's from my own work, where medical referencing was used and where medical referencing was missed. So we'll dive right into it. So case study number one, I'm just going to move off to the side so you can appreciate that. So at the University of Southern Carolina, they received a $50 million grant for their neuroimaging and informatics department. And to celebrate that $50 million donation, they had a nice ad that they put out in a bunch of different publications. And they had an unfortunate mistake in the ad. They put the brain in backwards. So we had the classic blue man, and we had the anatomy superimposed over top, and then we had a backwards brain, and this is neuroimaging department too. It's awful. And so a side-by-side comparison of a medical illustration of the brain versus theirs is that you can see, over here in point, sorry for YouTube, but this area narrows down and you can see the cerebellum here, which everything should be facing that way. So it's rather unfortunate, and it's pretty bad. So this was obviously an expensive mistake, but it also hurt the credibility of the institution because, they didn't spend that 15 minutes Googling what does a brain look like in the skull, how do I make this accurate kind of thing, right? And as designers, we have a responsibility to not only make good design, but accurate design as well. So next is a case study from my own work. So a client came to us, a new client came to us, and they were saying that an icon that was developed by another agency wasn't medically accurate and they wanted it to be revised. So this is the icon in question. So this was supposed to depict lumbar puncture, which is a procedure used to take out cerebral spinal fluid from your spine. So this is what it looks like. And the unfortunate thing about this is that they put the syringe on the front of the spine, so that implies the syringe goes through your torso of your stomach, which is not cool and not good. It's also the wrong angle, so not great. And the medical team came back to us with a revised icon that they made, and this is what it looked like. So they put the syringe on the right side, and they angled it correctly, right? And to a layperson, this looks good, right? It makes sense. It's more informed. However, our audiences are doctors and patients, and this isn't quite there yet. So what did I do? I went to my medical references, Bill Nye. So because of my background, I have a small library of anatomy atlases in my home office, And then I also found training guides for the procedure online. So I'll just walk you through what I found and what I identified with their icon that was incorrect. So the first thing is that each vertebrae in your spine has a unique size and kind of configuration to it. And so when you're looking at this, those vertebrae look like they're from the upper spine, which is not where the lumbar puncture goes. The lumbar puncture is down here. So it's just in the wrong spot. Also, the syringe, it looks really generic, which is fine in some contexts when we want to be generic. But this is a client that's really valuing accuracy in their designs, in their copy, and so we want to be more accurate, right? And the fourth one is like there's not really great landmarking here. In medical illustration, you sometimes want to landmark a user to know where they're looking at, and so there's opportunity to improve things there. So we got the client revised one there, and I'll move over here so you can see it better. And then we have the revised one, which is what we created. So I'll walk you through what I did to create this and why it's more medically accurate as well. So what did I do? Anatomical accuracy was the first thing I looked at. So with the spine, like I said earlier, there's a difference in the vertebrae shape and size at the top of your spine versus your lower spine. So these are much chunkier. They're thick, and that is clearly your lumbar spine. Also, the curvature suggests it's in the lumbar spine too. You could see before quite straight, not what your lumbar spine looks like. So fix that up. Next, I looked at online tools on how to do the actual procedure itself. So I looked at the tools that they use, found a more accurate syringe and tool, added that in, made sure it was in between the correct vertebrae. Everything's looking nice. Next, I wanted to landmark the area of the spine as well. So you have this funny bone at the kind of in your butt called the sacrum. And the sacrum's an odd-shaped bone, but what's great about an odd-shaped bone is that when you see it on an image, you know what you're looking at. So because the sacrum is here, I know that's the lower spine. I know that we're in the back around here. So worked out great. And by clearly communicating with my client, the visual references that I used, I positioned myself as a trusted partner, one that values accuracy and precision in media, and that translates then to the doctors, the patients trusting the client, so everyone wins, right? And overlooking, like these two examples I used were, the consequences of not being medically accurate were minimal, right? However, by overlooking or ignoring vision, so I don't want to leave you with no guides on referencing. So these are some things that I use quite regularly. So Grant's Atlas of Anatomy is a Canadian-made atlas you can just find it online. You can find free textbooks online. And it's supported by Canadian illustrators as well. It's super great, very well laid out. The next three are all 3D assets for anatomy, proteins, and molecules. All of them are really good. The anatomography one is by far my favorite. And then some generic imagery ones. Medical Images is a good resource just to get some like general pathology ones. It's vetted, it's by doctors. Really good for just like scans and images inside the body and outside. Brown Skin Manners is an Instagram account that specializes in showcasing skin pathologies on darker skin tones. Medical media is very white, so that's really helpful. And the last one is Illustrate Change, which was an initiative by J&J. And so that initiative produced a lot of medical illustrations that are more inclusive, so you'll see people in color in the illustrations as well. Yeah. And so if you like what I'm talking about, and hopefully you do, DesCan Vancouver is starting a new initiative called Life Science Creatives, and we are going to be hosting creatives who are working in the life sciences or interested in working in the life sciences, webinar events, networking events, all that jazz. If you are curious about it or want to hear more, we're planning our first event in the fall of this year, hopefully, and we got that QR code you can scan. We promise not to spam you. It's just going to be for the event itself. And I'll just leave that up for 2 seconds. Now it's gone. So thank you, and I appreciate the time, and I hope you guys took something away from that.